it's nearly the end of May. Today is the, I'm not sure, it's 29th, might be the 28th. It might be the 30th actually. Wipe that patronising, oh no, his brain's gone, look off your face. I just haven't bothered looking at the date on the calendar, that's all. So don't jump to those conclusions. Please. So, May, what's been going on? Well, yesterday was a real boom, body blow, because actually my favourite of all my carers is a lovely young Sri Lankan lady, Dineshka. And she's pencil thin. You think she was a famine victim. But she has this incredibly peaceful aura about her. And it's, yes, I know, I use the word aura. Live with it, because it's the only way I can describe it. She just, wherever she goes, she's at peace. And she's been through some terrible problems. With her family, with her own health, with money, because she comes from outside the EU and she's studying really hard to get a degree in management studies. And it's costing her a fortune, and of course at the moment, you know, because it's non-EU, it's going to be harder and harder, and it's just a nightmare. And yesterday, she's been with me for 2.5 years, she told me that because of problems in the family, she has to leave the company, so she's going to be gone on Sunday, so that's going to be a hard day. Because yesterday was hard enough. There was lots of crying and tears and wailing, and it was mostly me. By the end, she was calming me down. But I'm going to be all right about it. I'm going to be okay, and I've worked my way through it because it fits in. Because I was watching this documentary called "What the Bleep Is Going On" with Dumi Keegan. She was in that series Smack the Pony, and she's a great actor, and I call her doing my head in, which perhaps illustrates perfectly why, you know, I didn't become a stand-up comedian. But because I'm in learning stuff, quantum, as you know, well, one of you must surely by now. And I feel that sort of understanding all things quantum is like, imagine that's the Pacific Ocean. Well, I'm standing on the shore somewhere, the Pacific, and the waves come in, and very occasionally they touch the end of my toes. That's how much I understand about quantum. Hey, but I bet it's a lot more than most of you out there. Suddenly I caught in the loop. Kind of DJ mixed that myself. Get down. Yeah, I know more than quite a few of you out there, I suppose. For example, I can spell it. Without looking, yes, that's the trick. Without looking, you try. Here's a little clue, there's no K in it. And one of the things it talked about, because it's borderline philosophy in there, because it's all about possibilities. Nothing's definite in quantum, and I think that's why I love it so much. That's why everything they say finishes comma probably. It's summed up beautifully by Richard Feynman, who did a great speech about belief and why he can't believe. And he said it in his voice. I'm going to do an impression. This is going to be embarrassing, but what the fuck? I don't care. And he does the thing where he goes, you see, I can live with doubt, not knowing things and uncertainty. I think it's much more interesting to live with doubt than to have answers which might be wrong. I have approximate answers and possible beliefs and different degrees of certainty on different things, but I'm not absolutely sure about anything, and there's many things I know nothing about. But I don't have to know an answer. I don't feel frightened by not knowing things, by being lost in a mysterious universe with no particular purpose, which is the way it really is. It seems to me possible. It doesn't frighten me. Actually, that was not a bad impression. You can hear the Wimbledon coming through, but you know. But anyway, but that's the point. It's always possible, and that's why I think that's what attracts me to that world and has pulled me away from religion. I'm leaving off all religions now. It's fine. You go ahead and believe whatever you want to believe. Unless you're a Catholic, in which case I'm still Witchfinder General because I was brought up a Catholic. I know you're gay. Hey, do you know what I was taught? Alright, this is school, 5 years old. Who made you? God made me. Why did God make you? God made me to know Him, love Him, serve Him in this world and forever in the next. So before I'd even hit double digits, it was fairly clear that I was God's bitch for all eternity. Anyway, back to the blog. So this thing on quantum, one of the things they looked at is that we can become addicted to our emotions. So if something unexpected happens, unpleasant, you might be one of those people, or maybe you know someone who goes, oh no, why does this always happen to me? Or who does that, I knew that this would happen, just when everything's going well, it always happens. Or the kind of person who reacts irrationally angry at the slightest thing and is immediately in defence and all those things. But we become addicted to those emotions, and they've shown it. Literally addicted, well, almost literally, no damn it, literally addicted, because they've done all those tests that doctors do with x-rays, CAT scans on the head, which just, okay, is it just me? I get a picture of little kittens, like standing up with their claws on your head, looking at your head and trying to figure it out and going, okay. It is just me. Well, there's neural pathways, so when one of those situations arises, after a while the brain goes, oh, you like feeling like that, so we'll send you straight to that emotion. But you can break those addictions. It's like any other addiction. You just catch yourself doing it and you can stop it, and it works. And so I'm doing that. So with my emotions, I'm leaving one day at a time. One day at a time. That's the only way I can do it. And it's working out pretty good. So I've got over Daneshka, but tomorrow's going to be a big test. But we'll get through that. And a few other things I decided this May. One of them is, I'm not going to listen to the news anymore. Ta-da! I used to really listen to the news, watch News 24 and Radio 4 in the mornings. And then I thought, you know what? I'm starting to feel depressed all the time. I'm not going to watch this anymore. And it gave me an insight into what older people must feel. Because they're at home, wait, let me qualify that. Yeah, people older than me. The elderly, yeah, older than me, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm happy with that, I'm prepared to move on. Are you? Yeah, alright, so, because they sit at home all day and they watch the news, and they'll just end up convinced that they're going to be killed in their bed by some, asylum-seeking, benefit cheat scrounger wielding a gun that he bought on line. That was pathetic, but I like it. So, because you watch the news and that's what it is, and it reminded me, it's reminding me more and more of how much it echoes with my favourite book, which is 1984 by George Orwell, which we read when I was at school, and I remember it. Just that it stayed with me for a day or two after the sort of the afterglow was kind of quite miserable, which is, it's not a laugh a minute, but if you're looking for lots of yucks, stick away from 1984. And I listened to it again, audiobooks, my eyes went. There's a very good audiobook version read by, I don't know who, but he reads it really well, it's quite glad. And, it's a big thing for me to say that, but it is the perfect book because it has exactly the right number of words in it. You wouldn't want to take one away. Now, obviously, I haven't read a lot of books. Anybody who knows or has listened to anything I've ever said knows that I'm barely read. Not well read, barely read. I'm really not read at all. I'm really a very, very wishy-washy pale pink when it comes to books. So that stuck with me. But in that, you see, there's constantly, the threat is we're always under attack. There's always a war going on somewhere else. And that's what it's like at the moment. You watch the news and you think, I'm going to die in my bed with, asylum sinking, benefit Scrooging, madman who's bought a gun on YouTube, something like that, I said earlier, just go back to that and tidied up, you know where I'm coming from. I'm coming from my bedroom. No, stop myself there from the middle of a very unpleasant joke. Alright, so yeah, I'm giving up the news. I'm not going to watch it anymore. I listen to news headlines and that's fine. Otherwise, I get the news I need from the weather report, as Paul Simon suggested many years ago. Secondly, I've given up politics. This is big because for 40 years, since I got the vote, I voted in every local, national and European election. Always voted Labour because my family did. And I worried about it a bit. It's those latent Catholic tendencies that come up. And I thought I should get all the party manifestos. And, or is it manifesti? No, it can't be, that'd be stupid, isn't it? Manifestos, yeah, all the party manifestos. And I got them all together. It was around the time, because I couldn't figure out why Thatcher kept going in when my family were especially in such a poor one. So I read all the manifestos just to make sure I wasn't lying to myself. So I read all of them, and in the end it turned out that the party that had by far the greater majority of policies that I agreed with were the Labour Party. They weren't all the policies, which was the kind of thing at the time. There was people who would be very strident, being, no, if you're Labour, you believe this, you believe all of this. You know, and I wasn't in that sort of group, so I long since balked at the idea of middle class people. We've been through this. I'm from a working class background, brought up in the council estate. It's just my voice that makes me so posh. So I always balked at the idea of middle class people telling me how much better the working class would be if we followed their ideas. It's a working class chip on my shoulder. I'm working on it one day at a time. Sweet, you know who. Sweet Pinocchio. And so I'm working through that, and so I decided, no, I've had it with politics. I've had it. You know, I'm watching well-educated, predominantly middle-class, professional politicians who haven't got a clue. And in the same way that, you know, in war they talk about collateral damage, there's the same kind of speak that goes on with politicians now. You know, we're all in this together, and soundbite politics, and I just don't buy it anymore. And are they on message? And when you watch them, it's just, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. You did this. Well, you didn't do that. And it's I've just had it. So the world will carry on without me. It's not going to change anything. So no politics and no news, which is good news. It's good news week. Hedgehoppers Anonymous. This is a song from my past. This really is turning into a rather rambling stream of consciousness. And the other thing I found out is that for the last 6 years or so, I've been banging on almost constantly about dying, death, and how I'm going to die, and assisted death and how I agree with it. And some years ago, I actually, with Steve Steen and a man called Len Simpson, who used to, I think he was a cloakroom attendant at the Comedy Store, I gave them a list of things I'd like read and sung at my funeral. It was incredible. It was a really detailed list, and that's what people must read. And I realised just a few days ago that it, although I was telling the world about it, it wasn't me informing the world, it was me informing me what was going on. And I finally realised I'm now completely at peace with it. I'm up to speed. I've worked it all out. It's taken me a long time. So listen, thanks for putting up with it, but there'll be a little less talking about it. Still I'll talk about assisted death, but you know, I'm not going to be going on about it quite as much as I have done. In fact, I never really asked, how are you doing? You're looking good, by the way. Have you lost weight? You know, put a bit of weight on? Either way, it looks good on you. What have you been up to? Really? Oh, that's great. Okay, that's enough. Now back to me. And yeah, so I'm going to spend time doing all the stuff I'm going to do, the learning stuff that I haven't learned, listening to new music, listening to old music as well. And I'm buying compilation albums sometimes. I don't care. I've forgiven myself for doing that. Because people said you never buy compilations, always buy the album. I go, oh yes. And then I thought, no, wait, bollocks. You know that group, I really like those singers, I'm going to buy that, so I'm buying that. It's the old latent Catholic thing coming through again. And spending time talking with people. And something dawned on me the other day that it's really difficult to talk about talking with other performers, because we live in a different world. We've always lived in a different world. We don't know 9 to 5. We're self-employed. We don't know the weekends and bank holidays, kind of. All those things don't mean a great deal to us. Well, didn't to me anyway. They didn't. And it's weird, and it's difficult to explain to other people like your good self. Assuming you're not a performer. And that brilliant description that I first heard Greg Proops use over 20 years ago, which was comedians and civilians, which is a great definition. I always thought it's real people, because we live in an unreal world, and it's very difficult to explain our world to you, because it is so different. It's hard, because I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Stephen Frost emerging from the VW camper van with champagne cocktails and a field in Glasgow. I watched Steve Steen fall asleep standing up during a hand of Texas Hold'em in a cottage in the Peak District. All those moments will be lost in time, like ice in a chilled time to no more dying.